Welcome back. I'm Dr. Ajax, and I'm glad you returned to Hold My Heels, the Power of Unapologetic Living. Here, we are embarking on the path to uncovering how racism impacts our lives and being able to name it and shame it. My hope for this space is that we will learn from the presented lived experiences so we can be free. Just a little bit freer. This will be my safe space to evaluate the need to be Superwoman, despite Karen White telling me I didn't need to be, the pitfalls of chasing the bag, microaggressions, career growth, that stuff, and how I sometimes need to hang up my cape and rest. Can't save them. They don't want to be saved. Today's episode, we're going to define the four types of truth: objective, subjective, complex, and normative. We will also define the three types of racism: institutional, structural, and systemic. As we continue on this journey, sometimes I will ask you to come back here and get a refresher. I want to issue a reminder. This space will hurt at times because we are delving into the inner workings of life. It will not always be pretty. There will be hard conversations and topics. I ask that you allow them to stretch you and your thinking. This podcast is primarily based on the lived experiences of Black women and a space for us to relate to one another. And this space is also for those who want to be our co-conspirators and disruptors. I welcome all to this space. Use the viewpoints here to juxtapose to your own experience with these topics. Before I get into this episode, I would like to personally thank everyone who reached out after the first episode and gave me valuable growth tips and poured into me in ways that I did not think people would. So I have taken many of the suggestions and put them into practice. And as you see me grow through this, I hope that you can see that I do strive to be the best in this space so that we can have a common area that we can come to, we can feel loved, supported, and pushed into our next phases. Now, let's get into this. In the first episode, I discussed how the truth will set you free, but it'll piss you off first. So today we're going to call the truth to the carpet. Think of that meme that says, just come outside, we're not going to jump you, but we are in fact going to jump the truth. Understand though, our good sister Sojourner Truth said that the truth is powerful and it prevails, which translates to, roughly, the truth got hands. So if we're going to fight this fight, we got to fight hard. And the only fair fight is the one we win. So let's get ready for this. I like to win. I like to be the best of the best. So I want to find the weak spots on truth and on racism so that I can dissect it, I can own it, and I can apply it consistently in all things that I do. There will be times that we feel like we got rocked. Okay. We're going to own it and apply it. We're going to eat that punch and we're going to keep moving. You can cry a little bit if you need to. That's okay, because sometimes I cry too. It's my party. I can cry if I want to. And I will, and I do, because that's normal. So I am a strong Black woman, but there are times that I am vulnerable, and it's usually when the truth has punched me in the face. So I'm going to be super honest right now. Even when we know the truth and we know the right thing to do, we won't always do it. That is unrealistic. So please don't feel bad or frustrated if you're still caught off guard by life, or you know what is going to happen and you still do it anyway. That's life. You live, you learn. Now, I will say for myself that 10 times out of 9, I am always cognizant of the truth, right? I always know how something is going to happen. It's one of my Clifton strengths to be futuristic, to always think about everything that is out there. But I sometimes lean into the idea that, it's going to be better this time. May Jesus be a fence around me, because I know he's sick of me, okay? In order to understand what truth is, though, I had to do a little research. And this research started when I really wanted to figure out why people be lying to me and playing in my face. And then I figured out, let me see what truth is. So I also wanted to do the research because I don't want y'all to be like, please take this podcast equipment away from this girl because she just over here talking out the side of her neck. I don't want that to be me. I want to keep my podcast equipment because I didn't buy that much, but I want to keep it. So I'm going to try to make it make sense, okay? And I need you to understand that I live in a place of dark humor and I live in a place of being funny. Everything I'm talking about is serious today. So mind you, I will intertwine humor and my full humanity. I'm going to come to you as my full self. So prepare yourselves, okay? Now, sometimes we have knowledge, right? And we use that knowledge to determine, is fat meat really greasy? And if it is, do I want to eat it or do I want to trim it off? That's what this episode is going to help you decide. It's going to help you decide, what do I want to do? I'm going to use the truth and I'm going to figure out what I want to do from there. I am going to plug therapy. As you uncover the truth, you need a licensed professional to help you navigate and move past traumas. I believe in having a therapist and a spiritual guide. How you heal on a professional level is none of my business, because as the old folks say, you're going to do what you want to do, okay? But as for me and my household, therapy, because it works. Therapy and a spiritual guide. Sometimes I need them to flip them cards and tell me exactly what is happening. Sometimes I need my ancestors to tap me on the shoulder and be like, no, ma'am. So use all of those things. Use all of them. Use none of them. Hey, is you, not me. Okay? Now let's break down the truth. According to Philosophy News, the challenge is that our view of truth is very closely tied to our perspective on what is true. Check that. Our view of truth is tied to our perspective on what is true. They further go on to say that epistemologists, or the people who study knowledge, truth, and belief, think Plato, use the concepts of propositions, beliefs, and knowledge to understand truth. So let's dig into these. Propositions. These are statements or claims about the world that can be either true or false. They represent objective truth because their truth value is independent of individual beliefs or opinions. Something that can be verified. You can look at a thing, you can touch a thing, you can smell a thing, you can taste a thing, and you can say it is something, and it is true. For example, you see a man with a salt and pepper beard and pretty teeth. This can be verified by looking at him. It's either true or false. He either got a beard, it's either got gray and black in it, or white and black in it, and he got pretty teeth. Whatever you determine is pretty teeth is pretty teeth. But you verified that by looking at him. Beliefs. Beliefs are subjective. They are attitudes or mental states where individuals accept or consider something to be true, false, or an opinion. You hear that? Your belief, I love the fact that belief has the word lie in it, because sometimes that's exactly what it is. Because it can either be true, false, or an opinion. Now, beliefs exist in your mind and they influence your behavior. They are intertwined between truth and what you believe. Now, let's take the example. You think that a man with a salt and pepper beard is going to be on all the BS. So you're cautious. You verified that he got a salt and pepper beard and pretty teeth. But your belief, something you believe is either true, false, or an opinion, so in this case, an opinion, is that he is on the BS. So you're cautious. Now, knowledge is beautiful, okay? It is a justified belief in a true proposition. It combines elements of objective truth and subjective truth, okay? It then takes evidence that supports the belief in order for it to be true. So the belief has to be true, the proposition has to be true, and that is how you get to knowledge. So knowledge is formed based on your individual experiences and perceptions of the world, or your lived experiences, right? You're learning these things as you go. So it is your lived experiences of things that you know to be true. So let's say in the example, you've had experiences with men who have salt and pepper beards and pretty teeth. So now you operate with the knowledge that all of them are going to be on all the BS, right? Because you've got that knowledge. You've got the objective and the subjective truth. You've got those propositions and beliefs, and they've come together to grow knowledge about a certain subset of man. Now, we have normative truth. And normative truth refers to agreements or consensus within a group that something is true or valid. You see that? You see how now we're taking something that's an agreement amongst a bunch of people and we're making it true. These things can be shared beliefs, cultural norms, or societal standards. Normative truth can lead to stereotypes and generalizations. which may not always align with individual experiences or reality. Let's go with the example. If you call your best girlfriend and you telling her, hey, listen, girl, I'm in the Piggly Wiggly, and oh boy, salt and pepper beard is full, it's pretty, it's oiled, he's taking care of it. He smiled and you could see all of them teeth. All of them were straight and just shining. And she says to you, nope. That man is a box of no wrapped in trouble. Move around, move around. And you say, that's what I thought, girl. That's what I thought. So now you two both hold this normative truth and your behavior is influenced by it. So because of your lived experiences with previous salt and pepper bearded pretty teeth men, you now not only are cautious, but you move accordingly, right? So, and you've decided as a group that this is true. So you and this girlfriend then tell other girlfriends you never want to be with a man with a salt and pepper beard and pretty teeth because he gonna play in your face. That's now normative truth. Okay? Because there is some truth to it based off an experience with one or two salt and pepper bearded men with pretty teeth, but it may not be of all of them. So I'm going to give you a non-humorous example. There was this idea that Black people benefited from affirmative action or DEI college acceptance at a higher rate than others. Stifle your laughter. So, a certain population of individuals held a normative truth that Blacks were taking college spots from other people, especially them, right? So, this normative truth caused them to rise up against and ultimately succeed to dismantle a system that they felt benefited Blacks, and they ended up hurting themselves and highlighting the structures in place that maintain the systemic racism of college acceptance. Everybody already knew that college acceptance, most times, the people who were benefiting from a system were people who had access to the system, people who the system was built for. But in layman's terms, this group of people, based off of their normative truth, messed around and found all the way out. Sorrows, right? So I will stop here for a second, and I'm going to say, for legal reasons, no man with a salt and pepper beard and pretty teeth was harmed in the making of this episode, and everyone should rely on their own knowledge in regards to these individuals. I am going to say tread lightly because I am the delusional queen of salt and pepper bearded pretty teethville, and they cut through. Leave them alone. But that's neither here nor there. Now that we have a foundation of what truth is, let's jump into what we came here for. Lots of times we talk about how systemic racism is holding us back, right? But baby, it's deeper than that. There are so many ways that the system was built on bias that we don't know which way we're being hit. I want to be clear here. Most interactions in life have been impacted by racist systems and structures. That's the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. No matter what system you're operating in, working, dating, child rearing, friendship, just the day-to-day activities that we do, racism and racist systems play a part in them. Now, while racism works hard, we have to work harder in order to not just survive, but to thrive. So in our quest to tell truth to power, we're going to break down the 3 types of racism. We have systemic racism, which is the big overarching. It emphasizes the involvement of whole systems and often all systems. So any system you can think here, healthcare, economic, legal, political, schools, criminal justice, whatever, they all include the structures that uphold the systems, right? So for example, let's say that, you've got these various sectors where racial disparity exists, right? Where despite the progress in civil rights or equal opportunity laws, or there's always systemic barriers to continue the disadvantaged people of color, right? So you have higher rates of unemployment, inadequate healthcare access, disproportionate incarceration rates, limited housing options, all of those practices and societal norms that perpetrate racial inequalities. It's widespread and interconnected. So the racial discrimination is across multiple systems and the institutions characterized by the systemic racism. So now you've got the big overview, right? Now we have structural racism. This emphasizes the role of the structures. It is the scaffolding that keeps the systems running, right? Now, suppose that there's a city where most neighborhoods are segregated based on race, while historically white neighborhoods have better access to everything, right? Housing, healthcare, schools, jobs. Think of redlining. And black neighborhoods don't. This segregation is not simply a result of individual prejudices, but is reinforced by long-standing policies, zoning laws, and other economic disparities. This situation truly exemplifies structural racism because of racial inequality, because it's deeply ingrained in the city's social, economic, and political structures, right? And it perpetrates an unequal outcome for different racial groups. So then we have institutional racism. This is what we deal with on a very day-to-day basis. These are the policies and practices within and across institutions that intentionally or not produce outcomes that chronically favor or put a racial group at a disadvantage. Imagine a school where the majority of teachers and administrators consistently hold lower expectations for students of color, right? These students are disproportionately placed in lower level classes or they receive fewer opportunities for advanced coursework despite their abilities. Think, for example, honors, gifted, AP, IB, dual enrollment courses. And it's not because they can't handle it, it's because the people that are in the institution are upholding normative truths or systemic behaviors and structural behaviors that they've just automatically been ingrained with. So while discriminatory practices are embedded within the school's policies, their attitudes, their practices, it results in unequal outcomes. So those are your three types of racism, and that's how they impact us each day. Okay, so you've got the big top, which is systemic, and then you've got structural, and then you have institutional. So I need you to remember those three things. Okay, now, so we also have a foundation of how to look at truth and how to decide how we're going to use it. We have to use it to dissect the encounters and experiences we navigate in the systems that are built against us, right? So, as we think about objective truth, subjective truth, normative truth, and complex truth, we have to understand that we will be able to see these systems and we have to see how they're playing us, right? And how we have to navigate them. So, I want to get into a lived experience, okay? I will try each podcast to provide you an actual lived experience from somebody that deals with the topic that we're speaking about. This one is mine. I won't use any names because Beyonce's mama taught me not to trash people on the internet, and I don't want to get sued because you know how even when people be right, y'all still be wanting to scream how y'all gonna sue them. So, if you haven't noticed by now, I'm pretty headstrong and passionate. It is a character flaw at this point. This typically causes me to want to excel at everything. I tell myself I'm doing it because I want whatever I'm pouring myself into to be the best. I truly allow my ego to run this show, and I willfully disregard the knowledge I have about workplaces and how women who are strong and ready to lead and not afraid to continue walking the path of least walked. How we get told, we do too much. We're too loud. We're aggressive. We're scary. We're a bully. We're everything but a child of God, right? And if we were a man, we would just be the best, right? But as a woman, we're just like, you're supposed to come in here, be quiet, smile, and, just go with the flow and have like a little soft voice and just, I'm just here to help. That's not me. I come in and as somebody very near and dear to me tells me, I am Wreck-It Ralph. So even though I am Wreck-It Ralph, I never try to start in that space, right? I'm a hopeless optimistic, but then I end up having to be a realist because the truth punches me in the face and I have to be like, oh, okay, well, now we're dancing. So to get to the story, I worked in a primarily Black school district in the South. And I had the benefit of working under an all Black woman leadership, right? So they were strong, they're educated, they're older than me. And I initially thought, yes, Black girl magic. Like, yes, they supposed to come in here and I'm gonna be able to have mentors and see how to posture myself so that I can be successful like them. I quickly came to realize that it was not magic, but it was witchcraft. I fully believed I was hoodwinked. I was bamboozled. You get the idea. So anyway, I was asked to do an interview by the local news station regarding internet safety and how the school district was protecting students. Now, this is my job, and I'm good at my job. So it was basically cleared by a director of communications, my boss, and the superintendent. So I'm sat down and the director of communications, she talks to me about how not to embarrass the district, what words to stay away from, how to navigate the questions that the reporter is going to ask me, to remember that he's not my friend, to remember that everything I say can and will be used against me. It can be turned into a soundbite. And I just have to be careful. So I'm like, okay, I get it. Because sometimes I'm a spitfire and I might say something that could be said a tad bit differently. Especially for somebody who wants to lead at the highest levels one day. Like, God ain't finished with me yet, but it's days he takes off. So the day of the interview comes and baby, I'm cute. Okay? Cute. So I'm in my office at the time and I'm like, oh my mama, oh my hood. Me and Charlie Boy, we was doing it. I was big pimping. So my boss walks in, Black woman, and she says, what are you wearing for your interview? And all I can think is, now, girl, play with somebody else because I'm fresher than you. Okay, anyway. So I explain I am, in fact, wearing what I am going to wear. She asked me, where's your blazer? So at this point, I'm like, girl, what? I am open casket shop. But I say to her, listen, I don't wear blazers. And, I try to gently remind her that she's never seen me in a blazer. And this is because my daddy gave me a lot of things, right? And the shoulders of a middle linebacker is one of them. Okay? They're broad because I have a lot to carry. So she tells me that if I don't get a blazer or have on a blazer, the superintendent, a Black woman, doesn't want me to do the interview because as Black people, especially Black women, we need to present ourselves a certain way. So I hard blink a few times because, okay, girl. And she walks out. So I go over to my sister's circle and I'm like, they have said that if I don't get a blazer, I can't do the interview. So because I'm trying to act right, which I'm always trying to act right, I really am. My girls, we leave and we go to Cato. I think I can say Cato. If not, forgive me, Cato, I didn't know. So I try on a few blazers and we all come to the agreement that, that ain't it. It's just not happening. So I go back and I say, I looked, I couldn't find one. There's no way for me to go to another store because like the interview is too soon. I could get like stuck in traffic. Like I'm trying to explain why I don't have a blazer. And I figure, they'll leave me alone, like because I actually tried, but they don't. They don't. She holds steadfast in this idea that I have to wear a blazer. So then she goes on to tell me it's bad enough I don't have on pants because I should have on a skirt suit and some pantyhose, which I ain't worn pantyhose in public since I crossed in the fall of 2005. So I do what any headstrong Wreck-It Ralph woman would do. And I go upstairs to the director of communications, who's a white woman who has on a pair of Crocs and some fuzzy socks and leggings and a t-shirt. And I say to her, I can't do the interview because I don't have a blazer. So maybe the superintendent can do it. And she's gobstopped. She's like, girl, what? Why would you need a blazer? Now, I don't have time to explain to her, respectability politics. And I'm not supposed to do it. So I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. I'm not going to be able to do it. So I am heated, right? I'm ready to fight because I am so mad. I am literally in my office, like Trey on Boys in the Hood, just like swinging at the air, like just fighting myself, fighting the atmosphere. So I'm like, how is me wearing a blazer going to help anybody hear a message about internet safety more? Like, be so for real right now. Like, you can't be serious. And, later I understood that this was institutional racism at its finest, being handled through cultural hazing, which we will talk about in a future episode. Well, multiple future episodes. But needless to say, this like burned me up. How, as a group of Black women who have defeated the odds and become the highest leaders in the system, doctorate holders, PhDs and EDDs, like, how are you beholden to institutional racism? How are you playing in respectability politics in an all Black environment? It doesn't make sense to me. It blows my mind. So one thing that most people know about me is that I do not subscribe to respectability politics. I believe that these performative antics are part of an unrealistic expectation put on people of color, especially Black people. And it's ultimately because, you're asking somebody to assimilate into a system that does not respect us as humans. So you shucking and jiving, and they still don't care. So these systems don't respect you as a human because they're not built on principles where we were all created equally. These goalposts are put in place, which can be moved because it's, oh, if you do this, then you'll be better. If you do this, then I'll respect you. If you do that, it's abusive. And I'm not playing into it. So ultimately, it's because I really need all of us to understand that respectability politics don't work. We know that that play in the game doesn't work because the rules are ever changing. I don't know about you, but I have watched videos and heard the stories of people in the last 60, 70 years talk about how Black men, women, and children dressed in their Sunday best were hosed down and attacked by dogs as they marched for, if I'm not mistaken, if my notes don't fail me, the basic decency of being treated like a human. So we saw this again in the summer of 2020 as people marched for the right to once again not be treated like second-rate citizens. So in our not so distant memory as well, we saw how in 1968, it wasn't okay for a Black man to raise his fist on the Olympic podium to show solidarity in a fight for equal rights, and then was shunned for life for doing it. Only to see it happen again in 2016 to a Black man, once again publicly displaying his solidarity for equal rights and protections. These are not distant memories for many of us. We continue to watch these things occur on a daily basis. This is very current history for our people, for everyone. So playing into the respectability politics of wearing a blazer so that I can be on TV so people can respect me and can hear my message, ugh, disgusting. So, mind you, that's my lived experience with institutional racism and the truth punching me in the face. I knew what it was, and I still didn't want to believe it. So, I want us to understand this. I was caught off guard by this incident, but I knew better. We can't be caught off guard on a consistent basis because we have to learn the way that the system works and we have to coach ourselves through it. Be ye not deceived, though. You cannot win the game by going around the system or even playing in the system. It was not built for you to win. You can score points, but there will always be something that happens that causes you not to win. Because I love examples, I think about Dez Bryant and the infamous catch, right? Let's go, boys. We are, in fact, going to the Super Bowl this year. You can quote me on that. Now, I know, you know, and he knows that he caught that ball in 2015 against the Packers, right? The Packers even know. The refs knew it. Then, they throw the little flag, they challenge it, they go to the TV, they replay it, and they're like, nah, he didn't catch it. So they call it back. It's not a catch, we lose. Okay? 3 years later, That same incident is a catch. Different player, different team, but now it's a catch. How? How is it a catch? Somebody explain it to me like I'm four. Please don't, because I definitely already know. But now, the truth of the matter is there's no rule book, right? For us. There is a rule book that is played, but it is built to work in the favor of the culture that built the system. This is true not just of America, but every country. We have to understand that we need to take knowledge from lived experiences of those around us and our own to impact change in the institutions that we're part of. We have to be careful that we don't fall victim to the normative truths that hide the structures in place and dismantle the system, right? We can't just say that something happened to us because we're Black. We have to say that something happened to us because of systemic racism or structural racism or institutional racism. We have to name that thing, we have to shame it, and we have to show it's not because of just because I'm this color or because I am um aligned to this thinking or I represent myself in this manner. We have to call a thing a thing. That is why I'm hoping now that you have a base of understanding of what truth is and what racism is, you're better able to name it and shame it and eat its lunch, because the truth may prevail, but it can be beat. So now I leave you with this, my friends. You've got the foundation, and we're going to continue to use these foundations to discuss them people at your job, your family and friends. And I'm going to go easy on them because I know how y'all like to tussle. And I'm going to teach you how not to lose your hair or come out the bag on people. I am still learning how not to do those things, but we're going to learn together. So remember, every step you take is a testament to your strength and grace. Keep striding forward, hold your head up high, and never forget you've got someone to hold your heels when it's needed. I hope you conquer your world today. Until next time, stay empowered, stay you, and slay in your own personal way.